Hi everyone, I just want to go through some of the questions that you need to answer for your next assignment. I'm just going to help you along a little bit. Let's do the example with carbon 14. So I'm going to do notation for carbon 14. I'm going to write how many protons I have in the lower corner, and then the total amount of particles in the nucleus, and that will be 14. If I take 14, take away 6, I'm going to end up with 8 neutrons in that particular isotope. You might have heard of carbon 14 dating, and that is because carbon 14 is not a stable isotope. It will turn into nitrogen, and that's why we can date something that's very old by looking at the ratio of carbon and nitrogen in that sample. So what happens is that we have emission of one little electron, and in that process one neutron turns into one proton. So we're still going to have a total amount of 14 particles in the nucleus, but instead of 6 protons, we now have 7 protons. So we can write that as 1 proton. So we have 1 proton, the total amount of 1 particle turns into 1 neutron that has no protons, but the total amount of 1 particle. So what we need to do for this particular assignment is just write the nuclide notation for each of these right here. This is the nuclide notation for carbon 14. So you need to write that for these 4. The next question, you need to write the nuclide notation, but also including charge, if they do have a charge. So let's look at an isotope that has 25 protons. That would be manganese. So I'm going to write 25 protons in the lower corner. Now it has 20 neutrons, so the total amount of particles in the nucleus is then 40. It also says I have 24 electrons. Now if I have an even number of protons and electrons, I do not have an ion. If protons and electrons do not match, I do have an ion. And since I have 1 less of a particle that is negative, it's the same thing as I have 1 more of particle that is positive. Manganese is going to be +1. So we usually just write plus if it's just 1 positive notation right here. But you can write a number 1 there if you want. So you can try the other ones, and here you have the nuclide notation right here, the charge right there. When it comes to third question, you're gonna do a little bit of research and then write a brief description or definition of each of the following. So what's a nucleon? What is an alpha particle? What is a beta particle? So one of the easiest is going to be alpha particle. That's essentially a type of radiation that has 2 protons and 2 neutrons. And that is the same as a helium core, so just the nucleus of helium without the electrons. So the nucleus of a helium, that is an alpha particle, and that is a type of radiation.